Podcast episode number 4 with Nico Ormiston. Nico is someone I've known for, I think, the better part of a decade, maybe more. Friend of a friend. He's always been someone in my periphery, someone who I always wanted to talk music with, and this little podcast here has given me the perfect excuse. Nico is one of those guys who is just very, very talented. He can play anything, he can play everything, and he does it well. I'm really looking forward to the full record, and on today's episode we are dissecting his new single that was just released, titled Step from the Limelight. I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I've enjoyed discovering about it. Mijn BPM pis tout, Nico.
What's good?
What's up, homie?
What's up? Yeah, I'm good, man. And you?
I'm good. I feel like every time I make it here in the morning, it's like an accomplishment for me.
Yeah.
And recording a podcast is not something I ever thought I'd be doing. I feel like it's a lot of work, but once I get to sit down with my friends, it's all worth it. I'm excited that you're here, man.
Yo, so am I, man. It's my first time in this space, and you know, when I just got here, I was like, yo, this is a fucking... Yo, I hope I can swear on this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. You can say what you want. It's funny that you actually never came here in a sense.
Yeah, I agree.
You know?
I agree,
considered,
man.
I've known you for over 10 years, at least. I never hung out with you. This is the first time I'm hanging out with you.
Yeah, actually, there's other buddies around, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Some weirdos.
So tell me, man, you recently got signed to a record deal to release this record of yours.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's the first time that you're releasing it under your actual name.
Yeah, exactly.
That's correct?
Yeah, it's like sort of, it's a new project for me, absolutely.
Right on. And when is the record coming out? Are you in liberty to say?
Yeah. Oh, what? Oh, jeez, that was scary, man. Wow.
Full of surprises here.
It's coming out early June, if I'm not mistaken. I know with COVID and everything, like, shit can change, but we got the masterings done this week, and everything's been sent out to, digital releasing and all of that stuff. So,
and I'm assuming there's no shows this year.
There's actually a show booked on the 10th of June at Le Ministère.
Ooh, okay.
Well, you know, worst case, it'll be just like a live performance thing that'll be filmed and everything, which is, you know, I've never done a show with this project. Well, this project is brand new to me, so
yeah.
I got a band set up, some great guys, Max Castello on bass. I got
You got the drummer. I know you're drummer too.
Yeah, man. I'm having
Maxim.
Yeah. Sorry about that,
It's
Max.
Early.
I love you.
It's early in the morning.
And Sean Pouillet on guitar and back vocals. So, yeah, man, that's gonna be exciting.
It almost feels so funny when we mention bands today. Don't you feel like having a band?
Totally.
Right?
It's
What
totally
a concept.
Fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Honestly.
It's like now we're the weirdos who have bands.
Yeah.
You know, when really you should just be playing on backing tracks, I guess, and singing.
Yeah, man, and that's been a real struggle for me, because like I'm not a big fan of backing tracks in general. Like when I go see we've spoken about this outside of the podcast, I remember, but I've seen a couple shows where it's just backing tracks and people screaming over them, and it's sort of like I'm not sure if I'm really digging it, you know. But in other fashions, it can work really well, and right now we're practicing with backing tracks, and I'm sort of like, fuck, man, I just want to play music, and like I'm listening to the backing tracks at the same time, and I'm like, where's my focus right now? So it's a work in progress for me.
I hear you, man. Although I do share that sense of, you know, I think it really doesn't work for me when it's a pop act.
Yeah,
I think that's where, or you know, like hip hop, sometimes I feel like it's a tough sell to me to go pay a lot of money and to watch you sing over backing tracks.
Yeah, no,
because
for sure. It's a
like,
letdown.
It is a letdown because you know what? How is it supposed to sound better than the record? Like, I don't get it. And and frankly, I've never been the kind of guy that's like, oh, I'm going there just so I can see him with my own eyes. Like, that doesn't justify the admission price for me.
Neither do I.
See you perform.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we come from a different generation where, back in the day, growing up, you go see a live show, there'd be a band, there'd be live music. It wasn't just like DJs and performers. So
yeah, absolutely.
Times are changing, but yeah, for me, having a live band, as you said, we're weirdos in a way, but it's just a better experience, I find, overall.
Yeah, no doubt. I've sort of made the decision to use electronic in my live show because I never went there, as for a live experience. Mm-hmm. There is something liberating about the idea, though, of like not having 5 guys on stage. For example, my last projects, although we were younger, we would get in each other's faces so much that it would just buzz my balls, and you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And then it's also this democracy thing that I feel like was really hampering my creativity.
Yeah, no,
like,
for sure.
Arguing over a guitar tone or blah, 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 blah. And it's like, look, man, I'm just trying to write a fucking song.
There's a relationship aspect to it, absolutely, man.
For sure. And I feel like sometimes the fun thing about electronic music is that you don't have to deal with like 5 other people's egos. Mm-hmm. And that's the relief. I feel like that's the positive trade-off.
Yo, totally. And at the same time, you don't want to do like an electronic show, electronic-based project where the live things like let's say a rock band or a funk band, and like your fans are like, yo, what is this? Okay, it's a cool experience, but like, this is not why I came here for, like, but having sort of a mix, because I'm sure you play live instruments still using sequences or backing tracks or whatever. If you can mix both together and create a fun experience at the end of the day, that's cool, man.
Yeah. Moving on, man. What we're listening to right now is a track you sent me, which was inspiration for this project. Correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
What are we listening to?
We're listening to Part-Time.
Yo, I'm gonna be honest. I never heard of Part-Time in my life.
Yeah, well,
this is crazy. You sent me this, and I was like, "What is happening?"
I mean, there's a lot of music in the world, for sure.
Yeah, but this sound, I know this sound.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I've heard music like this before, and I'm like, I've never heard them, and they're really good.
They are.
Have you always been into Part-Time?
I've discovered Part-Time in around 2019. I was going to Italy on a trip, on a vacation with my girlfriend, Nadia, shout out. and just discovering music over there, listening to all the Spotify playlists and recommendations and stuff like that, which are actually pretty dope sometimes.
Yeah, I hate to say it.
I hate to say it as well, but you gotta give them the pros.
They have your data.
Exactly.
Yeah. They know what's up.
They know what's up. And so I discovered Part-Time on my trip there in Italy, and that was right before I signed a record deal, which we were speaking earlier, and that is with Lisbon Lux. Shout out Julien, for putting me on, and I needed to like fuel myself with some new music and new ideas. Going to Italy was like a massive fucking breakthrough for me in so many ways, and I discovered Part-Time through that, and honestly I just love that band. It's got a lo-fi feel, a sort of like a vintage feel mixed with modern stuff, but I don't know, man, it's just fresh.
Yeah, it's dope. I have to agree, like, this is it. This really hits a lot of marks.
It does.
I seem to forget the first track you wanted to pull up was the synth, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The main synth. Do we have to play both synth tracks together or just the one?
If you can play the main synth track, that's like the first thing that came up when I was just like playing around with a synthesizer that I have at the studio.
Which one was that?
Prophet Rev 2.
Oh, you have one of those.
I have one of those, and so basically, I was just grooving with that sound, and I used a retro color effect. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No, what is that?
It's like this fun little device that creates like some wobbly effects. You can add some distortion, some noise. It's sort of like, it gives it like a lo-fi vibe.
Gotcha.
But it's not like the cheesy plugin. It's like it does the trick.
Got it.
And just playing around with that sound, and I was like vibing, you know.
When did you start writing this song? I'd like to know that.
I started writing the song just before COVID hit in 2020. So that was like March of last year.
Right.
And it was basically those chords and the drum pattern that comes right after this. And I just had that idea on lock, and then COVID hit, and I sort of like left it on a hard drive. You know, I wasn't really going at the studio much anymore. I was sort of like waiting, like, what the fuck's going on with the world?
Right.
And when I went back to the studio, I, went through the session again, and I was like super inspired. And yeah, man. So last year, like in March 2020 is when I started the track, if you want.
Let me ask you, what's the shortest amount of time within which you actually started and finished a song?
From top to bottom?
Yeah, from like mastering, like, you know.
Oh, mastering, forget it. Mastering, that would take forever, but
really,
because I don't do my own masters, that's why.
Yeah.
But say like a really good.
But I mean to say, like, including master, like when you send it to the guy and get it back, like how long, you know?
Well, I mean that was obviously the masters at the end of the process. But let's say like just writing a song from scratch and having a good production where it's like, 85% of the song is going to be this.
Yeah.
Just need mixing and mastering.
Yeah.
Fastest would be for this project probably a month.
Fuck. That is so fucking quick.
Yeah, well, I did this record in the space of 6 months, I would say.
Man, that is the difference between you and me right there.
But
fucking hell.
You know what? If it wasn't for COVID, I don't see how I could have done that. Because my mind was just set on this project. Like,
fuck, man. Good on you. Like, I'm aiming to go faster.
Yeah, man. But I mean, there's no rush. But I get in this zone when I know myself. And if I start something, and if I don't act quick on it, it's going to disappear. That's just how it is. So I try and, get a couple good sounds together in the space of like 2 to 3 days. And then I'll just wrap up the song, you know, like.
Yeah, that's been my experience also. I noticed, like, whenever I get a really good chunk in the first couple of days, that can sustain me until the finish line. But if I don't get that immediately, I usually don't end up pursuing that song. And
that's okay, because you don't want to...
Yeah, linger on too long.
Absolutely.
Shit. Yeah, I agree. Because
you're spending precious time on wasting that time instead of like concentrating on a new song that you're not aware of that might exist.
Man, like I carry songs around in my pocket for like 2 years. Ugh.
No, but
I'm not even saying it like. All I mean by that is just that the older I get, the more agonizing that is.
Oh, totally.
You know, I don't even consider this like a testament of quality. I'm just saying it sucks.
I'm on the same page.
But I do feel that it's important to commit to finishing the songs.
For sure.
No matter what you do with them, just leading a project to the finish line.
Totally. I can't remember where I heard this, but like, there's a lot of good ideas in the world, good songs. There's a lot of good like idea for a song, like a verse or whatever. But if the song's not finished, who cares about that good idea?
Yeah, exactly.
Though, you got to finish the tracks. You're right, man.
Yeah. And also, my sound engineer, Kieran, said to me that if you don't finish a song, you don't really assimilate what it taught you, what you learned throughout the process. It's always upon looking back on what you did that you go, oh, that's what I learned. And that idea blew my mind because I know it to be true now. We just skipped over the other synth parts.
Yeah.
This is it's a prophet also, correct?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
It sounded prophet-y.
Yeah.
So before we get into the drums, this is a song I know for sure. You're not going to get me on this one.
Yeah. This might be weird for the listeners, but
yet so good. And
my
yet
man,
so good. Look.
You can't kill the classics.
I don't play drums anymore. You know, I used to call myself a drummer. And you know. Yeah, it's funny to say, but that drummer, man.
Yo, he is
yuck.
I mean, I have so much respect for the man and
what
the
about,
project.
What about that song did you zone into to influence your song?
Well, I mean, it's not like a direct influence in any way, you know.
Sure.
For all the rock rats out there, I wasn't trying to do a Led Zeppelin record at all, but
full disclosure.
It's just that, you know, like that half beat, that smashing vibe of like we're driving somewhere, but we're cool, and it's well just said. I don't know, man. There's something about that, and like my chords that I was doing initially on the song Step from the Limelight. Fuck, that sounded stupid. It was calling for that kind of backbeat, and
right.
I wasn't trying to do a Led Zeppelin backbeat in any way, but like it just came in naturally, and I was thinking, okay, Bonham, like it's got to smash. And
yeah.
And I like my drum sound, which Sam Gem mixed from Grandma Recording Studios, who's an ace, who mixed the whole project.
You pulled out a lot of big guns for your project here, huh?
I did, and I gotta thank Julien from Lisbon Lux, man. He's been the backbone for this, absolutely.
I met him in passing during M pour Montréal.
Okay.
And my only impression of him was like clearly a guy who loves music.
Yo,
you know,
he's an ace.
And that's the best. That's really all you could ask for, I think, for people that you work with. Is just a guy who loves music.
Totally, man. We connect on so many levels. We've met like probably 8 years ago when I was playing with other bands, and he was playing with his band at the time. He didn't have his record label yet, and
right.
And he's French, and I have, you know, there's a lot of Step from the Limelight is not really like a French funky track, but most of my record has that vibe.
Yeah.
And for me, Julien was, you know, the right guy in town to help me with that project. Right. And
yeah, so you know what? When you say it now, I know what you mean. Yeah. Man, I can't wait to hear the full. How many songs on your?
8. It's a short length record, but
I think 8's a good number.
I do too. My favorite records are always like max 10 tracks. More than that, it just becomes like, yo,
why are you putting me through this?
Exactly, you know.
I agree, especially in 2021. Like, who the fuck listens to a double record?
Or even a record?
Yeah. I mean, dude, for sure.
A double record.
Look, man, I don't know a double record that I've ever enjoyed.
Really?
Yeah. Like what? Like The Wall?
The Wall's a great example.
Like Tommy?
Yeah, man.
Like, what's that record from the Peppers? Stadium Arcadium.
Yeah, but that's like...
Yuck. I'm sorry. Like, I just do not fuck with this record.
Yeah, especially in the time that it came out, it was like double records were...
Yes.
You know, they were already done.
Yeah, so. I absolutely agree. And
because back in the day, songs were long. It made sense.
Yeah, I hear you.
Like 18 songs? No. But like 6 songs on one side?
Yeah.
And no, that's not a double record, but 8 songs on one side and 8 songs on the other side where, you know, songs are like 5 minutes long and they're crisp. Mm-hmm. Yo, any day.
I hear you. I think that's enough Led Zeppelin. We might get this podcast taken down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yo. Damn.
Let's see. All right, man. Your drums better not disappoint.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, and also I want to add Jesse Nadinger, who's a great friend and a great producer in Montreal, played some drums on these. There's like electronic drums and real drums that we mix together, and I gotta thank Jesse for that.
Ugh.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, okay. I like this.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, lots of shakers and tambourines in every song.
You know, man, I gotta say, like, I enjoy listening to music like this.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Like track by track and just talking about the shit and hearing it. That.
Yeah. Yeah, like originally I made it sort of like a hip hop beat where it was like all sampled stuff.
Yeah.
And as soon as Jesse came in and, you know, we sort of like fucked around with it and he played over on top of it. And then he gave me the stems. I mashed it all up and yeah.
It sounds like this was chopped up and put together.
Yeah, no, totally.
Got it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I question our methods of like wanting to get good sounds and then we fuck it all up in post-recording.
Yeah, man,
you know
it's always a process, definitely. You never actually know where you're going with it, but...
No, but it's also very liberating to me to know that, like, for example, you know, we were talking about just sound capturing. Mm-hmm. And it's like, even a perfect room, you'll end up fucking the drums up in post-production, adding all kinds of effects, compressions, and side chaining and whatnot. So it's almost like, you know, don't let your limitations, quote unquote, be a limitation in that sense. You know, like, look at you, like, this track sounds amazing, it sounds dope, but it's also far from whatever was recorded.
Yo, definitely.
So I guess all I'm really trying to say is that, like, just record with whatever means you have, because you can make it sound good afterwards.
Yo, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
It's limitless. It's fucking limitless.
And it's a big conversation that people have, you know, like this gear versus what you do with it, or having a proper space, having the right stuff. I find that, like, there are bare minimum requirements, but once you have like a good laptop and a couple of good microphones, fuck it.
For sure. But I have to say, in this case, I mean, like, as much as I would like to say that it was super minimal, there was quite a process in post, since Sam uses like a lot of analog gear, so it's going through, you know, a couple of amazing units that are worth a couple bucks out there in the world. But yeah, man, I think you know, a mix of both worlds where you can really play with like modern technology but use the essence of like the classics.
Yeah,
you just can't go wrong, man. It's like
it also depends on what you're playing, or like your records is very it's inspired by a vintage sound, so to speak.
Yep.
Would that be fair to say?
Definitely. And
it sounds modern, which is, you know, you're mixing both in that sense.
Yeah, man, I for sure. I think, you know, I think we live in an era in popular music where people are, even in like the big top 40 tracks, you'll hear, you know, like say, you know, all the Bruno Mars stuff, you know, it's like very vintagey, but it's like polished and big bangers on pop radio, but it still has that fire from like a vintage song, you know, that you need to be a good track.
I have to agree, man. Yeah. What's I added the bass track here.
Yeah.
This is a synth.
It is.
What sound is that? What synth is that? What is this?
It's the Rev 2, and it's also the Prophet Rev 2, and it's also a man, I don't remember the name of that synth, but it's like a new copy of the Mini Moog.
Right.
But it's not Moog that makes the synth. It's like
it's Behringer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like those two synths, one on top of each other. It's kind of a weird process. Usually I want to try and make it as minimal as possible, but in this case it worked.
Yeah, I hear you. What's the part of the process for this song that took you the most time? The longest time, should I say?
Oh man, vocals. It's always vocals.
It's always vocals.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah.
I have this weird way of creating vocals, where I'll just, in this case, I was like, na, 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 just like fiddling around, trying to look for something, and eventually I come with the melody of the song, which is like, na, 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 na. I'm not using autotune. I'm sorry, listeners. Na, 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 na. And then I'll just like record that, and I have to, and then on top of that I'll put words. I never write before I have a melody.
Right.
And so that makes it really hard because you need to find the right rhythm, you need to find the right words. It's like it's like a fucking puzzle that I'm putting together sometimes, and it sucks.
Do you ever have words in your mind subconsciously, where you just sort of scat them over?
I guess. Yeah.
I find that my what works for me is that I'm always writing down words, sentences, or things that I'm feeling on my phone. Mm-hmm. And then there's sort of this meditative process where I'll read my notes in the metro, in the subway, or if I'm walking, and I'll just look at what I'm writing, and I memorize. I'll say them out loud, because as you know, sometimes you're just looking for words that sound good coming out of your mouth, really.
Yeah.
And then when I get to record a vocal demo, I have these words stuck in my mind, and they end up being in the finished song. And then a lot of times I have to sort of find the meaning of my songs later.
Yeah.
Isn't that fucked up?
But it makes sense. And you know what? Like, I think I totally agree with that. And I believe that even, there's some songs in the world that we love, and you listen to them and you're like, you make your own story, your own personal story through the lyrics of the person who wrote the song. I don't have an example right now in my head, but
man, any Beatles song.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And then, I didn't think about that when I started making music.
But say then you hear an interview where Paul McCartney says, "Oh, I wrote this song because of this and that," and you're like, "Fuck, that's not the story I had in mind." That sucks. Like, it's fun that we can sort of make our own stories, and in the same way that your writing process, where that's not what I had initially, but look where it brought me those lyrics.
Yeah,
and it doesn't really. I don't know, man. A story can be so many things in a song, so.
Yeah, and it's just funny because you always get the sense that some people are so mindful. You're thinking he purposefully put that there to make me feel this way, and other times to find out that it was just an afterthought. It makes me jealous. Like, I wish I was that good.
Yeah.
But I'd be like, oh yeah, like, I had these things in my back pocket. I put them down and whatever. It's cool, whatever.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, like Paul McCartney's a good example of someone who makes it feel effortless when he talks about it.
Such a genius, man.
Yeah, and it's just, do you agree? He just feels so casual.
Oh man, in so many ways. Just the way he plays music seems so casual. Like, he released a record like not that long ago, and the thing is a fucking banger. Like, the guy's like 70. What the fuck?
Well, he's got that McCartney money.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Let's hear those guitars again.
Yeah.
Man, those were fucking sharp, nice fucking sounding guitars, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks to Sam for putting in those Pultec EQs, man.
Man.
But, you're
playing those guitars?
Yeah, absolutely. What happened though? So like, I had the synth, right? I did the chords, then I put on the drums, and I was like, okay, I'm good. Actually, because at first I've been doing a lot more electronic based music, let's say in the past 5 years, because I got bored of guitars. Guitars were my first instrument.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. That's how I've met you as a guitar player.
Yeah. And I mean, guitar's always been my most natural instrument for me. It's like the easiest instrument for me to play and the instrument on which I'm more comfortable.
Yeah.
But I really got tired of playing guitar and like recording guitar and like guitar sounding sound.
Looking for my tone and tweaking my pedals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a cool sound.
Yeah, I was going to say, fuck.
Yeah,
What is that? That's a...
It's a lot of things. We'll get back to that in a
sorry,
sec, but like, it's cool.
It is what it is. You're listening to music as you're talking. It's a mind fuck.
It is, but it's cool. So yeah, I got really bored of playing guitars, but when I started this project again, this whole record and the whole process of this record, I realized that my voice sounds a lot better when there's guitar in the background for some reason. And I just feel more inspired. I don't know, man. I just cut through the mix in a way that I don't when it's just electronic-based music. It just doesn't work with my voice.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I need a riff. I need one of those classic old guitar riffs. And I had the drums, I had the synth, and that riff came in super easily. And then I just doubled it with a different guitar. And like the guitars are panned. And yeah, man, it's just a fun riff.
It's great. I think it. As much as I loved all the other elements, I can see how it's the guitar that just makes everything come together.
Yeah, in a way, for sure.
And so this is the most what's the word I'm looking for? This is the hardest part of your process right here, the vocals. It's the one where this is sort of seeing you naked in a sense, a cappella vocals.
Yeah, exactly. And so as I said, I have this process where I come up with the melodies and then I attach words to that melody.
Yeah.
And initially I had a different melody for that song and I hated the track. I was like, yo, this song's horrible.
Yeah.
And then eventually I came up with this melody and I was like, yo, this can work.
I changed my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wrote the song at home. I was on my piano just playing the chords and revisiting the melody and finding words. And yeah, the song's sort of like Step from the Limelight. It's about like, trying to, I hate to say this, it's so cliche.
Go ahead.
Like, with social media nowadays, it's like people really need they have to act. They have to be part of this. If they don't post, they feel like I'm not part of this.
Fear of missing out. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's real.
And this song's about that. It's a step from the limelight. It's like you want to be in the limelight, but you don't want to step away from it. And it's like it's this dilemma we live in. And what for? Why do we need to be amongst that stupid culture that is just like fucking? I'm sorry. I really sound like a big hater right now.
No, and I don't. That's the reason why we're having this conversation. Having said that, you can elaborate as much as you want, but why do you think that is?
That is what?
Why do you think that is that we're this way?
Because I feel like, a lot of what's going on in the world right now is through social media. So either it's political, either it's something inspiring, something fun, something that you feel like heartfelt about. Often the time it's through social media. So we're connected to it and we want to participate. And if we don't, we feel out, sort of
left out.
Exactly. And
yeah.
Well, for me personally.
No, that's absolutely a shared opinion for a lot of people.
I do believe so.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm to be really honest, I'm surprised at how many people have told, people are honest, like people that we have in common as well. I've had conversations with our good friends and people just really feel like social media has an impact on their life.
Yeah, man.
In a negative way. And I just find it funny. I'm not one of those people, and I feel so lucky. It's as if to say that, like, I know that whatever I open my phone, I'm just looking at everybody else trying to look their best.
Yeah.
I know that, and it never bothers me. The only thing that ever really bothers me is when I see the divide between rich and poor. I find that disgusting. But other than that, like whenever I see people in my Facebook, you know, people I follow, people get affected by that a lot. And I find that so strange. You know, it's like, I thought we all knew this was fake. But somehow, like a lot of other things in life, it gets the best of us.
Yo, totally.
Right? Something like that.
Especially social media. That's really a right way to put it. I think, like, because it just continues. It never dies. It's always driving. So you're sort of like looking at it from a distance, and you're like, okay, what's going on? What's next? What's this? What's that? Oh, look, this popped there. And also the fact that we're always, there's so much stuff going on, and we're just looking at it, and then we switch to another thing 15 seconds later, and then to another thing. It's like,
what does it even mean?
Exactly, you know, like.
Do you know Marigold?
Yep.
Marigold's a friend of mine. She lives right close to here. And
she came here, right?
Yeah, she shared my spot for a minute.
Well, wasn't she on the podcast?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yes, I did.
Yeah.
We did do a podcast. Yes.
I listened to that episode. So yeah.
And she DM'd me the other day, and she said, "Listen, can I leave my phone here when I don't use it?"
Yo, that's
like, and I mean, kudos to her, but just to speak on how much of an impact it has on people. She's a smart girl, man. She's a clever girl, and yet, of course, she had the wits to say, "I'm gonna leave it here," but that's the power that phone has.
And she's got a lot of courage to do that because.
And you know what, man? Shout out to her. I'm gonna say right here, she comes here 2 times a day to check her messages, and then she just bounces. Like, I can't believe that.
That is sick, man. That inspires me right now.
So if anybody want to come and leave their phone here, I'm here all week, baby.
Sasha's got the hookup.
Yo, Nico, man, I'm really happy that you came by today. I'm going to just drop the song on our way out. I wish you the best of luck for the whole record, man. And anytime you release something, you want to have something to say, it's an open invitation, man. You can come back anytime. Thank you.
I'll definitely drop by. Thanks for having me, man.
Take care, Nico.